part of Project 571, genetically engineered vampire created to destroy evil.
What do you want?
We need your help to kill a vampire.
Malleus Maleficario. It was written by a witch. The first witch. Titania.
That was a little snippet from The Witch's Hammer, the first film I ever solo directed, and it's just been remastered and re-released on Amazon. So if you like witches and vampires, then please do check it out. Anyway, let's get on with this week's episode. Hi, Jim here, and you're listening to the Honest Filmmaker podcast. So around 10 months ago, I had a director called Gene Dolders on to talk about his Giallo-inspired feature film, micro-budget feature film, called The Blade Cuts Deeper. Now, you can watch that. I'll put a link to that below. You can watch or listen to the original recording, because it's a good insight into how Gene got that film made. We're now 10 months on. The film's come out in a few territories, had a pretty good festival run, so I thought it'd be a good chance to catch up with Gene, chat to him, see how it's gone, see what he's learned in the trenches of sales and distribution. How are you doing, Gene?
I'm good, thanks, man. How are you?
Good. But let's start with, you'd finished the film last time I spoke to you, and it seems like you had a pretty good festival run with it. So how did that happen? And have you got any tips for anyone who wants to do a festival run with a film?
The festival run. So we played. So off the top of my head, it played at Calgary HorrorCon in Canada. It played at Evansville HorrorCon in Evansville in Indiana. It played at the Phantasmagoria Film Festival in Wales. It played at the Bee Beside the Seaside Film Festival in Southport, which is in the northwest of England. It played at, and then I think all the other. I don't think there's another festival there. There might be another festival. I think the other screenings were all cinema screenings that I've managed to organise. So there was one at a place called the Lee Film Factory, which is also in the northwest. And you know what? Oh gosh, off the top of my head, I can't remember where
So were they all of those the ones that you mentioned, the official film festivals? Did you literally just enter them on Film Freeway, or had you done a bit of finagling beforehand with the festival?
Out of the four that I know I've just mentioned, two of them were through Film Freeway. One of them I got because, like I said, I did an actual cinema screening at a place called the Lee Film Factory, and I've done a Q&A after every screening, whether in England, whether it's a cinema screening or a festival screening. And after the Lee Film Factory screening, I did the Q&A, and then afterwards, a guy called Mark came up to me and said, "I run the Phantasmagoria Film Festival. I want to show you a movie." I was like, "Oh, cool, okay." So that's how I got that one, because he was at the screening there. And then the Bee Beside the Seaside Festival is, I'll be honest about this, because I could lie, but I'll be honest about this. The Bee Beside the Seaside Film Festival features in my movie. So they were like, "Oh,
right, that's a good one."
Straight away, because in the opening of the movie, the character John Abbott is just screened an upcoming episode of his TV show, but he's premiering it at this film festival, and that's the that film festival. And the movie is a real film festival, and so then the movie played at that film festival after it was finished.
Right. Okay, that's a good tip. Film at a film festival to get into. Right, I'm going to go and film at Sundance, I think, next year. So the ones you entered on Film Freeway, what percentage? I mean, how many did, if you don't mind me asking, how many did you enter on Film Freeway? Like, did you enter a bunch?
Oh yeah. I think I'm going to say, I'll round it up and say 30. I think I'll say
30. God.
30.
So how much did that cost you?
Oh God, I'll round up again and say $1,000. It's just easier that way, isn't it?
Okay.
I'll say about $1,000. I'll say about $1,000. Right. Probably 958 maybe, but I'll just say £1,000.
£1,000 on film festivals. So that is I've done that myself in the past, not spent quite that much money, but that is difficult. And it's funny, I had a conversation with someone the other day about film festivals and the fact that when you finish the film, obviously you want to show it in festivals because you want people to see it, but you don't realise how much you want to be at a festival until you get declined from it and told your film hasn't made it. So talk me through that. What was that like? It must have been painful investing all that money and then not getting much back out of it.
Well, that's the worst part, obviously, because afterwards I thought, you know what, I could have used that grand to pay for like a kind of grassroots marketing campaign, or for something else that we needed for the movie. I'm happy I did it though, because I learned a lot. I did have some very candid conversations with some of the festival directors who were very honest with me. And I don't want to say their names because it's not fair to them.
Yeah.
But you know, a lot of them were saying, look, if you don't have anyone that's a festival favorite in like actor wise, so that's why it's not coming in this festival. I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's good to know. That is actually
Mm-hmm.
very handy to know. You know, Giallo movies. Some festivals were like, well, actually, we're doing. It's like some festivals actually do a theme that year. So like
Yeah.
this theme this year is haunted house movies. Oh, mine's not a haunted house movie. Okay, it's not getting in. Fair enough. That's fine. That's okay. That's
Mm.
understandable. Um, and also, one was like, well, you might have got accepted more if you'd have cut like about 4 or 5 minutes out the movie because there's a part of the film where a lot of people say it's unnecessary, but I'm
Mm.
quite stubborn, and I'm like, no, I like that bit, so I maybe shot myself in the foot with that. But
Yeah,
I
but
think it was
then
a mixture.
I've had that before. I've had that with a short where someone's gone, "Oh, this is good, but if you would you cut 5 minutes out of it?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm not sure that's the festival's place to tell you to recut something." I get, I'm happy to get a no, it's not for us. And I also think, oh, if this year we're doing haunted houses, that should really be on the application, so it's not going to get in. So that ruffles me a little bit. But and I can, yeah, only because of the amount of money you put into it. But it kind of, I suppose, the other side to that is it doesn't show because when I see you posting, it's like, oh, he's got into another festival. He's got into another festival. So from the outside, it's fine. It's worked.
Oh yeah.
Um, so then, so you're doing your festival run. So talk to me about sales and distribution. What happened? Who did you go with? Where did you send the film?
Yeah, sure. I was just going to mention something then, but I'd say one other thing though for people that I really did learn is
Hmm.
unless you're a very big movie already, you know, with lots of stars and not a big budget, I would not recommend submitting a work print to a festival for submission. I just don't think
Yeah,
it's a good idea.
absolutely.
I just don't think,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I did that a lot of the time because we were running behind on
Mm.
production, and I do. That's the only thing I really regret is doing the work print. But you know, again, I've learned it.
Yeah,
So
that's I've done a video episode about film festivals, and it is tempting, especially if it's your first feature film, to think, oh, I can send this version of the film, and they'll be able to kind of imagine it. They won't. They need the
yeah,
final greatest version of it. If you're gonna, don't kill yourself to get to a film festival deadline if it's not going to be a perfect version of the film. But I've done it myself. It's tempting because you believe so much in your film as you should that you think they'll see it even though it's not quite finished. But sorry, carry on. Talk to me about sales and distribution.
so interestingly enough, actually, one of the festivals I submitted to was called the Dead of Night Festival.
Hmm.
They're quite a rising star in the horror film festivals. They sell out every year, and it's a small cinema, but you know they get a very good turnout every year, and they're getting big. They originally had been in Liverpool because I think it's run by the Liverpool Horror Society, but then they
Mm.
moved to Southport because they got a essentially a maybe just I don't know if they thought it was a better space, but they moved to another cinema in Southport anyway. So I submitted to them. I didn't get in. I was like, oh, okay, fine, it's all right. You know, I was used to rejection by then. By the time that came out,
Aren't we all? Aren't we all?
but that was in October of 2024, and like, okay, and then you know that all the festivals that I'd submitted to had run by then, pretty much. Pretty much, there were some festivals in early 2025, like Calgary and Evansville and Phantasmagoria that did play in 2025. But the bulk of the festivals that I submitted to were for the October, November 2024 slates of festivals, and they were gone. I was like, oh, I'm like, well, you know what? It hasn't gone to any festivals. I really need to start finding distribution. So emailed personally loads of distribution companies, heard back. I probably emailed about 50, maybe 45, 50. Heard back from four, submitted the movie to four, heard back from two that said it wasn't for them and didn't hear back from the other two. So, you know, months are passing and I'm like, oh man, this is a real fucking bummer. What's happening here? And then out of the blue in January 2025, I get an email from a guy named Michael, who is I'm not going to butcher his second name because I'm terrible at pronouncing it, but he's the CEO of a sales agent slash distribution company in New Zealand called Black Mandala. And
Mhm.
he said, I've heard you've got a movie I might like. can you send it to me? And I was like, oh, who's this guy? I was like, where did you hear about my movie? He said, oh, Stu Jopia, who's one of the festival directors of Dead of Night, who didn't take the movie, said I'd like this film. So I contacted Stu and said, oh, thanks, man, for recommending me. He's like, oh, yeah, I liked your movie, but, it's put to a vote with the directors. I'm like, oh, it's cool. Don't worry about that. It's fine. So anyway, he recommended me to Black Mandala, sent it to Black Mandala. They're like, yeah, this is up our street, because they had already distributed at least 2 Giallos over the last, say, 10 years. One was called Francesca, which I'd actually already owned on DVD, and another one called Abracadabra, which I actually still haven't seen yet. They're made by the Anetti brothers. And so I sent it to them. He's like, yeah, we'll represent this if you want. To put it short, he said, we will represent you as a sales agent, but if we can't find you a deal, we'll distribute it ourselves. I was like, cool, okay. I'm not getting any more offers from anyone, so I'm like, I'll just go. At the end, there was a point where Alex, who co-wrote the movie with me, we were talking like, well, if we don't get a distribution deal, we'll just have to go through Film Hub and do it ourselves and just do it that way. But then Black Mandela came along, and technically we probably might make more money if we'd done it ourselves, but you kind of have the I'm not really in this for the money on the first movie, because you kind of need that prestige of having it out through an official, distribution company. So Black Mandala took it on, and within like 2 weeks of having it, they were like, "Oh yeah, we got some offers on it from North America. We got one really good offer with a quite a big MG, but they're not. How to put this lightly? They're not known for doing much of a push, but they'll give you a nice MG. But then there's this other company that will give you a smaller MG, but we've worked with them before, and they will basically market your film a lot." I was like, oh, cool, let's go with them. Then again, I'm not in this for the money right now. And it was only a micro budget movie anyway. I wanted to be out and be seen by as many people as possible. So they got me a deal with a company called Allied Home Entertainment. And then Allied Home Entertainment had just set up a smaller company called Void Signal, and The Blade Cuts Deeper was to be one of the first 8 movies on their new slate of films that were going to get released. And that's and that which started on October. They released 4 movies in October, and then my movie was one of the 4 movies that got released in November. So I think there's still got one more movie this month to come out. Mine came out on November the 18th. So in a nutshell, that's how I got my distribution deal. But Home Allied Entertainment, or Allied Home Entertainment, whichever way it is, they signed me up for physical and streaming in North America, and they streaming in the UK and Ireland. And I on the advice of another filmmaker, specifically said I wanted to retain the rights for physical distribution in the UK so that I can do my own special edition, and they agreed to that, which was cool. So it's out in North America now on streaming and on physical on DVD and Blu-ray. But I don't exactly know when it's coming out on UK and Ireland on streaming through them, but they are doing it. So, and then I'm actually in the process right now of getting together a bunch of new extras that we're going to put out for a UK physical. I've actually got Alex, the co-writer, is traveling up from London to Liverpool today, and we're gonna go and record the commentary track tonight.
Nice. Commentaries, it will be a very different experience, I guarantee. I've done a commentary before straight after shooting, and then one 2 years later, and they're so different because now you've got a bit of perspective on the whole thing. So just looking at and I'm going to ask you some questions and tell me I'm not answering that one if I'm digging too deep into this stuff.
Okay.
So the company in New Zealand that are representing the film, are you comfortable telling me have they got marketing costs? Have they got expenses? How soon do you think you might see some money come back?
So Black Mandala don't have any well, I mean, they will have a bit of marketing costs, but they're acting as my sales agent, so they're taking it to film markets. So obviously there will be some costs through there. But my understanding, if I read the contract correctly, and this is my understanding, is that they will obviously get a deal for me, and then they will take a certain percentage. I don't want to say specific numbers because I'm not sure if I'm meant to or not, but they will take a certain percentage, and on their end, there's no cost from them or no cost taken out for me going to like the film markets, because they're going there anyway, and they're just taking the move. So they're taking a percentage of whatever deal they go. There isn't the Allied Home Entertainment, if that is the correct order of the words for that company. did give me an MG, but then again, I don't want to say the amount because I don't
No,
know
that's
if I'm meant
fine.
to. but the MG is apparently coming through at the end of the final quarter of the year, so that'll
Yeah.
be next month. So I could always update you as to whether they actually did it or not.
Yeah,
next year.
that would be interesting. And not again, no amount. Is the MG going to cover the cost of the film? Do you think, or are we talking like it's just a nice little bit of cash that's going to pay a few bills on the film?
Well, I tell you what, I can tell you the percentage of the movie because that's technically not telling you the amount, right?
Okay, don't want to
Because
get you in
you
any
can find
trouble.
out how much the movie costs in other sources, so that you can
Yeah.
just work it out yourself. So for the North American deal, I'm getting the MG is 25% of the budget of the movie.
Right. Okay. All right. Okay, that's interesting. I would definitely look that up.
Right? Yeah, 25%.
And do let me know how you get on and if you get paid from that, because that is the golden question, isn't it? Is all this sounds awesome. I love the sound of the New Zealand company. Love the fact they're not charging you any marketing going to events fees. That's brilliant. And the fact they've managed to get this other company to commit, and presumably if they've worked with them before, they know they do pay. So let's fingers crossed for that. And it's come out now in America, hopefully going to come out soon in the UK. The other thing I noticed that you seem to be doing really well at, and I'm wondering if you've got a PR person, is reviews, news articles, all that malarkey. Is that you doing that? Is someone else doing that for you?
It's all me, baby. Actually, it's like it's 50% me and 50% the distribution company. So what happens is I never used to be like this. I was just saying this to someone the other day. But I realized obviously you have to do this, especially if you're the producer of the film. So I'll get now the movie's out, or when I was posting about things about the movie coming out, suddenly some random people, or who I thought were random, would start following me on Instagram. And then when I check their profile out, it turns out, oh, they're a writer for a film website. So I just go straight away. I'm like, hey man, thanks for following me. Do you want to watch my movie and review it? And most of them say, yeah, cool, because I get to watch I get a free chance to watch a movie and I write about it. And then I push it and then when they write the review, which I think there's about 10 reviews online right now, proper reviews, and one of them was negative, which neither myself or the distributor contacted. They obviously just watched it somewhere. I mean, it's like there are good points in it, but it's mostly negative. But that's fine. That's cool. But the other ones, I like them because they're good reviews, but at the same time, they are pointing out parts of the movie that didn't work for them. And I'm like, that's cool because no, I would never want someone to feel obliged to write just a glowing review because that's not right. So anyway, they watch the movie, do a review, and I'm like, well, okay. And now you've seen the movie and you've done the review. Want to interview me for your podcast? Because I know you got a podcast as well. So it's just kind of developing the relationships from there. So like quite about half of the reviews are out there because somebody just started following me and I contacted them, like, do you want to watch it and review it? And the other half, I've been told, although I might have misunderstood the emails that have been sent to me, I think have been organized by the distributor in North America.
Yeah. That's good. That's good strategy, actually. Keep an eye on who's following you. Start up a conversation, and then more. Get on the podcast. I like the sound of that. And I noticed your from last time I saw it, your artwork's changed. So was that the sales agent or the distributor, or did you get it redone?
Distributor all the way. Quite a few people who were connected to the movie were like, well, what's going on? Why? What? That's the girl in the picture has nothing to do with the movie. The killer doesn't look like the killer. And I'm like, no, you got to think about this, right? I got to think about this. First of all, I liked this straight away because I thought this is going. I never planned this, and it was never my plan to do this, but it's perfect for me because I've made a Giallo inspired movie. And when those movies were sold from Italy to America, a lot of times, this is what they would do. They would completely market it to a more Western audience. And they're doing to my movie what like directors like Lucio Fulci and Dario Argento had done to theirs. So I'm like, I'm cool with it. I'm like that. It's almost like I've made a movie back in the 70s, and that's what they're doing. So I like it. I'm really cool. I've started using it that image more now with the blade with the behind around the girl's neck. And so yeah, no, I just like it. And obviously the distributor that's the image they're pumping out. So it's best for consistency if I just use that image now as well, other than the one that we had originally. I mean, when we do physical release in the UK, it's highly likely I'll do one of those double sleeves. So you'll have like the one we originally had, and then the new one, or we might get a new picture done completely for it. I've no idea. I haven't really thought about the artwork for that yet. But no, to answer your question, that was all down to the American distributor.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, that, because I remember looking at your original poster and I was like, oh, that's cool, because it's quite a detailed image, your original poster, whereas this one is more pop. Instantly know exactly what it is, and I could see it probably sticking out better alongside a bunch of other films. Not to say I didn't like the original poster. I think that, like you say, that's more like almost like a collector's edition style poster, whereas I can see why they've gone for something with loads of colour and a really easily identifiable image on it. And then so we've talked about festivals, we've talked about a bit about deliverables, sales and distribution, talked about the artwork. What do you think? What's the main kind of stuff you've learned, do you think, over the past 10 months doing all of this stuff? Is there anything you didn't appreciate or didn't think was going to happen?
It's going to sound stupid. I've learned to just stand back and just not worry too much and really push trying to get a movie out there, because it seems that a lot of it's kind of happened, with that word, organically, but that's what it is. We didn't think we were going to get a distribution deal, and we've been trying for ages, and then suddenly it just popped up. And that, there's a bunch of, they're not reviews, but there's a bunch of press releases that got released, and I never thought I would see my name and my movie that I made in like Bloody Disgusting, or like these other massively horror websites that I've been reading for news, for the last 20 years. And I contacted Bloody Disgusting myself like a year ago, but I'd never heard anything back. So that just goes to show as well that obviously the distributor, their press office, has a very good relationship with all these websites already. So that is one of the good things about going with the distributor too, is that obviously those news movie websites will take them seriously because they know they're kind of official, but just some random guy just contacting them saying, "Hey, I made a movie. Can you talk about it on your website?" I understand that they wouldn't do that. So I think the biggest thing I've learned is not to worry too much that the movie will come out some way or another, whether you had to do it yourself or through a distributor, and that tearing your hair out worrying why no one's paying any attention is not going to do you any good. And you just kind of have to keep going and just don't give up, and something will happen eventually.
Yeah, that's true. And it is tough. It is tough when you enter a ton of festivals, don't get into loads of them. Like you say, I've done that myself, sent out hundreds of emails, and then you just get like a smattering back, some of which I've got a spreadsheet as well. I'm sure all filmmakers have got their own spreadsheet. Some of the distributors and sales agents I won't touch with a barge pole. But then the ones that do come back, then you've got a whole little dilly-dally with them to try and work out if they're the right person for you. So we've said, when you say the film's out on streaming, I'm just thinking about people being able to watch it. So like you're talking what, Amazon, Prime?
Yeah,
where can we find it?
In US and Canada right now, it's on Prime. It's on something called Hoopla. You can watch it on Prep. You can Apple TV, Google TV, I think it's called. And there's one other, which I can't remember the name of now. And then in the US, in North America, if you want to buy it on physical, there are quite a few websites online, but you can actually get it from places like Walmart and Barnes and Noble, and I think Target, and those kind of regular establishments in the US that where you go and buy like a DVD or a Blu-ray.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming back on. I think that's all really interesting and honest advice. And like I said, if anyone wants to watch the original chat I had with you about the making of the film, that's a good companion piece for this. And I definitely will check in with you a little later down the line. You'll be sat there with your fur coat on, smoking a cigar with all the profit you've made. But I wish you the best of luck. And obviously, do check the film out. It's a really good film, really good little Giallo micro-budget feature.